See You in 10 Years is a time capsule that is going to be stored at the National Library of Scotland. It will house pieces of writing from young adults and a new piece from Val McDermid, and all of them in some way reflect what 2020 has been like for the people of Scotland.
The thing that excited me about this project is that throughout my career I've always been interested about the future, what lies ahead. I think any writer you speak to, when you ask them what book of theirs they're most proud of, they'll talk about the one they're about to write. The future's always the exciting bit.
Well, I wanted to write something for the time capsule because it just sounded like an incredibly cool idea to be able to write something and then go away for 10 years, maybe not forget about it, but certainly not be thinking about it all the time, and then open it again and see what it was like 10 years ago.
The National Library of Scotland is Scotland's largest library. We collect and preserve the memory of the nation. The time capsule will sit on our shelves alongside some of the library's most treasured collections for the next 10 years.
Because the time capsule contains writing by young Scottish writers and Val McDermid, and it's going to be an item that's held in the National Library of Scotland, I wanted my inspiration to be Scotland.
Ali Forbes had a really clear vision of what she wanted the time capsule to look like. She is a jeweller predominantly, and we were all intrigued to have a jeweller respond to the request for what is essentially a box.
In my own personal work, it's very folklore based, it's very animal based, it's very illustrative, and I work with a lot of layered materials like leather and metal. So I decided to have a narrative very much based on Scottish scenery and animals.
The themes that were incorporated into the artwork were something that Ali had put forward as part of her proposal. She discussed the idea of a rural theme on the outside and then an urban theme on the inside, and she also really wanted to reflect the kind of times that we're living in at the moment. So she's included a surgical face mask here, and I think that there was a bookshop in Glasgow that was her inspiration, and she talked about having piles of books, which initially, as a conservator, slightly horrifying because we don't pile books up, but obviously I understood with artistic licence that was all fine.
It's basically based on it's like a Glasgow institution called Voltaire and Rousseau, where it's this incredible second-hand bookshop where you just see all these drifts and piles of books. I just think it's really magical and very charming, and I love the chaos there. And there's going to be it's a little character sitting in the bottom of the box surrounded by drifts of books, a bit like that. And it was originally going to be a person with a face mask on because I think that's quite prescient for the moment, but then I thought, well, the whole box is basically animal based, so why not just have another figurative emblem for that and have it as a unicorn, which is the emblem of Scotland, with a little face mask on.
I was involved with the artist about choosing the materials to ensure that the materials that she made wouldn't impact negatively on the surrounding collections, which are all historic collections. Normally as a conservator you're working with historic materials and we don't have any way of influencing the choice of materials that an object's made from. So for me that was one of the things that made it a really special project. And it's just a beautiful object as well, and so I'm very excited to have it in the collection and also to be involved with the ongoing monitoring and looking after it for future.
I hope it makes people think what they can do to have a positive effect on the world around them and how they could be a little player in creating a positive world in 10 years' time.
I can't honestly tell you a time where I wasn't into writing. When I was younger, I used to be really into cliches and things like that. And then as I started to mature, I think my writing did too.
When I look at the work I wrote in my past, I'm just gratified, I think, by the sense that I've learned a lot in those 10 years. Every time I look at my earlier work, in fact, every time I look at the work I wrote last year, I think, oh, that's not a good sentence, or oh, that's a really stupid idea, or you could have done that so much better. I hope that everybody who's engaged in a project like this will look back on those 10 years and see it as huge steps forward from the writer they were 10 years ago. It doesn't matter if you're starting out at 20 or if you're sitting where I am at 65, you can look back at that and see what you've learned, see how you've developed.
Oh, when I was chosen for the time capsule, I didn't believe it at first. It was like, all right, okay, it's going to be a rejection. We'll deal with it, it's fine. And then when I looked on the email I got, I was like, oh my God, I got chosen. Oh man, this is amazing.
I think it's incredible, and I'm very, very honoured to be able to be published alongside authors like Val McDermid and also the other winners of the competition. I think it's amazing.
I am glad to be in the company of the new voices, who I hope by the time this capsule is opened will be established voices, or well on the way to being established voices, and I'll just be the old crone sitting in the corner saying, see, I tell you.
I think in 2030, when we open this time capsule, it's going to give a real insight to how people were feeling about life in Scotland in 2020, and similarly an insight into how young people were imagining their futures at that point.
When the time capsule is open in 10 years, I think I will feel just nostalgic for 10 years ago when I got accepted for the See You in 10 Years programme. I think I'll feel really fond of the person I used to be.
Well, I hope I've got more things published. I hope I have a novel. I hope I get somewhere, you know, because this is just the first steps.
I still hope to be writing, even if it's not what I go into as a career in the future. I still hope to be writing. I think it's a good habit to get into, and it's really relaxing as well, just after a long week of school, just to get home, drop everything, forget about homework, and just write something, and you can create something entirely new. I think that's amazing and very wonderful that I have the opportunity to do that.
Asking young writers to harness their imagination and create work that focuses on the future is an opportunity to take the first steps in a different direction. When this time capsule is opened in 10 years, it will serve as a benchmark for us to see whether we've accepted the challenges of today or run away from them. Either way, it will be worth waiting for.